Fucking shitty at technology for a professional.
Oh, hello. Oh, hey, Garrett. Oh, no. Draft Science and Athena. Okay, so you must be Athena. You don't look like Gary. That other window must be Gary.
Might be. I don't know. Might be a vitamin bottle. I'll decide. All right, I'll be me for a while. Yeah, so, I don't know if I
I
want
subbed to this guy of yours, that photographer. Crazy dude.
Yeah, he is crazy. Unfortunately, yeah, I got no reply from him, so that was sort of a bummer. I can't get a reply from anybody, so it's really kind of irritating. Nobody seems to want to discuss physics.
Well, I don't know what to say about that. I like to discuss it, but, everybody that wants to discuss it either thinks they already know or they hate my favorite physicist, and it just makes it difficult. It was lovely to see you actually defending Feynman. That helped me get interested in him. I'm still trying to figure out what his thing is. I guess he's got some sort of magnetic theory. And I haven't gone back and watched most of his videos, of course, are photo stuff. So I guess I need to see. I'm slowly going back through his science videos to figure out what it is he thinks is happening. I don't know if you said you did that, right? You've watched his older. I've seen like 2 of them now. He came out with another one on Newton just recently.
Oh, I didn't see that yet. Yeah, I didn't sub to him. I didn't have guts for that. But I just check his channel now and then. Yeah, no, I mean it's kind of like the there's a whole bunch of these people have all this electric, magnetism kind of theory that's the game, that's the universe. And I just find it sort of ironic because, the one they should be unifying under is gravity, because when you think about gravity just a little bit, you start to realize that gravity is an all the way down force. It's you sort of already know that because big objects combine as if they were single objects. They always have a center of gravity. If I put 100 people together, they have a center of gravity. They're essentially, from a gravitational perspective, one thing. And that's how big space works, and it's just so obvious that that's exactly how little space works. It goes all the way right down, and that it's just a nuance of gravity that's creating magnetism and electricity. These are just forces that are just nuances of this fundamental gravitational force. So, we know light's polarized, right? Doesn't this seem reasonable to you? If we say light's polarized, why wouldn't we have gravity polarized? So if they both forces move at the same speed, we just think of gravity as being polarized, and you can all of a sudden imagine all kinds of situations where there would be strong and weak gravity. And so the strong and weak nuclear forces are basically strong and weak gravity.
Wow, he's actually saying some really cool stuff right now. I like that.
Well, I'm just saying,
I like the pilot theory personally, where you could say if you want to insert gravity into the equation, and if you're talking about it being both poles, then you're also including electricity and magnetism, then that would make a lot of sense. But there's still, of course there's always the times that the things don't go the way that they think it's going to go. But
well, whatever that is, that's just cliche crap. I'm just saying this always argument I'm just really sick of. I'm sick of this people just dragging crap like that up, like Rome's always going to burn, and this is just those are bullshit cliches. Don't have any meaning whatsoever, and so it doesn't mean anything. Okay, once you have the right answer, you have the right answer. The world is not flat, and it's never going to be flat. Okay, so yeah, they had it wrong once, and it's now not wrong anymore. And again, you're never going back to a flat world.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about polarization is it's actually really simple. Like if you have an antenna, the antenna's up and down. When you're sending out radio waves, you're shaking electrons up and down. That shake causes the photon one way or another by any of our theories. And it's aligned, the polarization of that photon is aligned with the antenna, right? Because you're shaking it up and down. So the same thing would happen in gravity if you believe that there must be a graviton, which most of the scientists do, but they haven't, been able to capture it or whatever, then it would also have the same kind of polarization. It would have to, any three-dimensional wave will have a polarization based on how you jiggle it in the first place.
Right, and that's sort of what I think Feynman was getting at with his virtual photon, because he was basically just coming up with this mechanism. He knew there was a force, you know, and he was just making up a force carrier. So he just invented a force carrier that moved the same speed as light, which magnetism and electricity have the capacity to do at their absolutes. So it's basically, you can see the similarity in the force. And to me, it all comes down to just understanding force as being a straight line mechanism. I mean, all these things we call invisible forces all behave as straight line vector forces. They don't have any ability to go around corners. Okay, that's what waves do. Okay, so these forces are not waves. They can manifest as waves in matter, but they can't manifest as waves in the sense the force themselves that's causing the wave is not it's a straight line vector force. It's very geometric.
I completely forgot what I was going to say. Dang it.
But the point, I guess, the other point I wanted to get to was I mean, I wish there's just so little opportunity to have any kind of discussion. Because you go to these forum pages and they're all, it's like I'm having a little bit of this discussion of circumcision, you know, in the last few of my inmendham videos, you know, because the commenters keep bringing it up. But it's just, you know, they sit there and link to these pages, and there's also one-sided. You know, it's almost like the diet program pages. Like they think these are like science pages, and they look just like like I lost 50 pounds, you know, jumping up and down and singing musical songs. And it's just so funny because they'll have the exaggerated pictures of the penises. They'll have all this, and it's like, this is just propaganda. You're saying how, you know, everybody's just so, you know, they call it genital mutilation. I mean, they can't even get serious a little bit about the subject.
Well, I think that's because a lot of times when people punch things into their computer, they're going to receive whatever answer they want because their algorithms are already tailored to not questioning things that they believe.
Well, it's not even that. I'm just saying that there's such a bias built into, you know, these are supposed to be scientists. They're not supposed to be fucking children. And the fact that they can't even accept the argument, you know, they won't even allow the conversation, is just an indication that they have no scientific temperament. I mean, they're just, you know, they just refuse to behave like an adult.
It's like debating piercing your ears, though. I mean, really, it's not.
I'm just saying there's a difference. Scientists shouldn't be like a bunch of assholes, okay? You can't just say, yes,
totally agree, but you
shouldn't
can't
be assholes, okay? They're the end of the conversation. We don't need to drag it out. Thank you.
Well, I'm just curious. So what's the argument, though? I don't remember your position. What are these people's position on it? Both sides are that way, you're saying?
I'm just saying they're radically anti-circumcision. You know, and I'm basically saying, look, I'm circumcised, idiots. I don't have a problem. Okay, you can tell me I have a problem, but now I got plenty of nerve endings. I have plenty of gratification and satisfaction, and you can find absolutely no scientific evidence that I have lower performance or any of these issues. So why are you so fucking upset that I'm circumcised?
Well, I think that a lot of people think that there's such a stigma with the other, and you have to know that in the past 10 or 15 years, there was, especially during the Bush years, there was a expensive thing to get circumcised. So there was a lot of parents.
Oh, bullshit! I don't even believe that.
No, this is true.
I really don't know if I can do this room with her in the room.
And then a whole bunch.
The Bush year has nothing to do with the controversy over circumcision. That's been around my whole fucking life.
So.
God, this is so retarded.
Well, the thing to me is I have an answer, and I think it relates to this general social justice issue, which is, of course, it doesn't really matter. It could be a personal choice. There's an issue in whether parents should be able to choose that for a kid.
They have to choose, okay? There's no adult that's going to cut off his foreskin because your brain is already fucking tied to it, okay?
Well, but that's
the only time you can do circumcision is as a child. If you don't do it as a child, it won't get done.
Yeah, but the whole antinatalism issue.
If you don't force your kid to have violin lessons, he's not going to know how to play the violin.
Yeah, but But by the whole antinatalist argument, obviously,
forget it. I mean, this is
Can I
just
just
stupid.
finish?
It's a stupid conversation when you can't even get the fundamental premise that there is no
can't even let
circumcision
me-
if you don't do it as an infant.
Then that's fine. I don't really care if there is or not.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
saying
You
that
don't care if there is.
I'm
These people do care. They want to make it. They want to propagandize on the subject, and so that you're again.
because the issue is if you wanted to not circumcise, there used to be a problem with that. The medical establishment would want to demand it. It was demanded.
Okay, yeah.
Yes,
okay.
it
So
was.
Everybody says that about doctors. You know what? I've never had a doctor that forced me to do anything. Okay, doctors recommend. They don't force.
Had it, and
back then they really.
Oh, bullshit.
Really
pressure.
Well,
I know stories of circumcisions happening without even the parents giving consent.
Bullshit. They have to. No way. They could sue the fucking hospital's
that's not the
ass
case
off.
anymore.
Okay, if they don't have a release, they could sue the hospital's ass.
So as a result,
about why it was so bad not to do it, that people would do it and they didn't even know what.
Right. So getting the real story out there
Yeah,
that it is
people
optional.
did what their doctor suggested, okay? And I'm just saying now they've gone the other way around because doctors are feeling all this pressure because people are saying you're just into the money and you're just doing it for this and you're just doing it for the religious.
I don't care.
All this fucking propaganda. Right. And that's all it is fucking propaganda.
So the thing is, though, when you're in a situation where you can't do your free option the way you want, then you create this activist movement, and yeah, it builds up steam and makes its argument because it's fighting people that's saying it's absolutely bad for you. So then they fight that by saying, no, it's absolutely good for you. And it's neither absolutely bad nor good, but that's just the way the history works. That's just the way the argument has to unfold.
Propaganda shouldn't be winning the argument, and that's my only argument, okay? Lies and propaganda shouldn't be making the decision. And I'm just saying it's irrational. It is a tough choice to make. I'm just saying if I was a father, I would have a choice, and it would be a real choice because I would say to myself, there are advantages to being circumcised, okay? Yes, less bacteria, less viruses, less chance of cancer. It's a fact.
Well, that's
you have to be like on top of the cleanliness.
It's not debatable. That part isn't debatable. That's the whole fucking thing. That is not debatable. Less bacteria is not debatable.
But it's a thing that's like washing your feet. You learn to wash your feet.
I just say it doesn't matter whether you wash or not, okay? The fact is they're going to find the yeast on your penis, and they won't find it on a circumcised penis because 50% of the skin isn't folded over itself collecting bacteria. I mean, it's a fact.
Okay.
Why the fuck have this conversation when people can't pay attention to even basic logic here? It's basic fucking logic.
But
we could take everybody's appendix out as soon as they're born, too.
Exactly, and wouldn't that? And it's a real question. There's a real question. If you know genetically, there's going to be an 80% chance that your appendix is going to fail during your lifetime. Well, maybe it would be logical to take the damn thing out when the kid's an infant.
It's not the same. I'm not coming from any propaganda or anything. My son is not circumcised because I could not afford to get him circumcised, and I didn't really care about doing it. It was expensive, and I didn't want to do it. So I really don't think that there is any kind of problem. They teach you how to clean it, and then it's over.
I'm not going to argue this. It's not about whether there's a fucking problem. There are statistical facts, and there's a real difference in the penis, okay? There's a difference for the lifetime of the owner. The lifetime of the owner, it's a different penis, so there is a choice. Now, you want to say you don't give a shit, that's fine for you to say. I'm glad my parents gave a shit.
I did not have the choice.
You just said you didn't give a shit. You just basically said, even if I had the money, I didn't give a shit.
I didn't have a religious
bias. Go ahead. Say two things, right? All right, change your opinion in 14 seconds.
I didn't have a religious bias, and it was very expensive. We had to come up with
She just keeps doing it again. You just said you didn't care.
Yeah, it's both.
I didn't have a religious bias.
Well, why are you giving us this stupid bullshit about you didn't have the money when you just said you didn't give a shit?
Okay.
It's the same thing. How's that not related?
Well, I don't know how they're exactly related. You either have an opinion or you don't have an opinion.
I do have an opinion.
You're either saying it would have been a really challenging decision for me if I had the money. I would have had a real challenging decision because I really don't know because I never had a fucking penis. You could at least say that.
Well,
I never had a penis.
You can also not really care one way or the other, but if it was free, you might go ahead and say, well, I guess I
I'm
better
just
make
saying,
a
how could a
decision.
male not care one way or the other? I'm just saying my penis is about the most goddamn fucking important thing I own. I can't imagine anything else more fucking important than my goddamn fucking penis. And we're talking about 50% more skin on my goddamn fucking penis. And so I think it's sort of an important subject.
Well, I think an interesting part of this to me is because you say, and this isn't a gotcha, I'm just saying this opens up an issue to me, but it does relate to the antinatalism thing, because the compelling part of the antinatalist argument is parents shouldn't really be making a decision of whether somebody's existence.
I just argued that, though. That
I
is
know, no, let me finish. So
if you're
I
going
just
to
realized
have a creation, you have a responsibility to act in the best interest of the creation, okay? You're already violating consent. Now you have a responsibility for a life form. They're two separate subjects, Pyro. Consent has already been violated by existence.
Look, what I'm saying, though, is so it raises this issue of, okay, so when you have a kid, obviously you're responsible for him, but you're in an even worse situation where you're making decisions for somebody that does exist already. You know, so it's even more serious than bringing them into existence, or at least as serious.
It could be more serious. I think the more serious the
equally
conversation
then.
is.
Anyway, I'm just saying
it. Playing God. Playing God means a little. Playing parent is one thing that's really, really difficult, but playing God is even a higher standard.
Right.
You play God and invent people. That's a higher violation any way you look at it.
This part of my argument is I'm granting your side of the thing. I'm seeing that there's this issue of, okay, so then you do have the kid. That argument doesn't go away. Now suddenly, where are we in the, because I've started to realize, you know, there's some kids, like I watched this movie about sports parents that really push their kids into sports, and they're terrible. I mean, there were people in the documentary like smacking the kids crying, you know, and it's like, it made me think, well, yeah, a lot of times kids having their parents be the ruler of them is like they're just in a fascist dictatorship. It's just terrible. And so at what point, you know, do we push this to kids' rights?
Well, I know,
you
but
know, when does a kid get to?
No point in saying kids' rights, because that's the same thing as saying the right of idiocracy, right? Because
exactly.
So you can't actualize idiocracy. You can't empower stupidity. That's illogical.
You know what? That's probably the strongest antinatalism argument.
Look, it's a simple argument. Who should drive the bus? The person who knows how to drive a bus, knows what physics is, knows how round wheels work, knows how the vehicle functions, or some ignoramus sitting in the seat who's never done it before and has no fucking clue what life is.
Well, that might be your one of your even better. You know, you should add that to the antinatalism argument, that even more than bringing the kid into existence, it's the 18 years of decisions you have to make for him after that are the undoable, unfigure-outable part.
Well, they're all undoable and unfigure. I'm just saying that I'm not going to diminish the godlike bullshit of the decision to actually have a child in a circumstance where you're basically birthing it into a shithole. I mean, that stupidity is such a high stupidity.
I hope you understand. I wasn't
right there, you've almost basically said, I'm too big an imbecile to be a parent, okay? Once you've made yourself a parent, you've just basically proved you're too fucking stupid to be a parent.
Yeah, no, I wasn't trying to minimize that. I was actually realizing that, to me, that makes it seem like this decision of conception. In reality, it's the decision of that 20 years that's this heavy, weighty thing.
I understand.
The reason why it's not heavy,
the reason why it's not a heavy, weighty thing for people is because they have already proved themselves imbeciles by having kids in the first place.
Well, it's because it happens generally without a rational thing. It's one of these things,
that's
just
right.
like falling in love with the wrong
because they're
person.
Imbeciles. That's right. It happens because they're imbeciles. Smart people like me would never have a kid, right? Because we know right from the beginning, hey, it's a huge, giant responsibility. It's gigantically expensive. What if it all goes wrong? I can't fix it. I could figure all that out when I was fucking 10 years old. And somehow
but you still have
can't figure it out in their entire fucking lifetime. They can't figure it out.
But you still went through behavior where you accepted that risk, I'll bet.
I never accepted the risk. I made sure every woman I ever stuck my dick into, I said, I don't care whether the condom breaks. I don't care whether magic fairies stick sperm in your uterus. If you get pregnant, you're either going down a staircase or you're getting a fucking abortion, but you ain't having no fucking kid.
Well, that's a risk to think that you could actually pull that off, because you don't have the right.
No problem pulling it off, because every one of the women I slept with were exactly of the same frame of mind, where they had absolutely no intention to have any goddamn babies.
Yeah, but it's not zero risk. that one of them
Well,
would
I'm just
change
saying
their
it's
mind.
zero risk, and that both minds have had consent that I will kill you, basically.
Definitely not zero
If
risk.
Well, you still took a risk.
if
That's a
you
horrible thing
violate
to
this
say.
contract, we have a contract. We're having sex. If you violate the contract, I will kill you.
Well, that's disgusting that you even say that.
Right,
Well,
and
I would kill a bitch if she tried to have my baby.
oh my God.
Oh my God, really?
Of course I would. You still don't get it, jackass, do you? You really don't get it that people are born into this world and they are tortured, you fucking
Oh, but you
crazy
just had to
bastard.
have sex.
They
But
are
you just had to have
tortured.
sex. But you just had to have sex. I mean, you could have just not had sex.
I'm
But
just
instead,
saying, a contract is
answer
a
to the
fucking
risk.
contract, okay?
Your
If you tell
risk.
somebody you're not going to have a child, you have no
now you're
fucking
lying.
right
You're
to
going to
have
mitigate
one.
your risk with. You're going to mitigate with your risk with murder. Is
I'm
still.
going, no, it's not murder. It's a
Took the risk.
contract, shithead.
You took the risk. No,
It's
most
a
contracts
fucking
don't have death.
contract. Do you know the
No.
word contract?
No, it's
See, you
illegal to have a
imbeciles are such
contract
weaselly lying
that
scum
requires death.
that you can't even make contracts. You're
You can't-
such
you don't get
liars
killed
and
for breaking a
compulsive
contract.
liars that you don't even have the integrity
You
to
don't get to kill
defend a
somebody if they break a
contract.
contract. You don't get to kill somebody.
Yes, you do. We kill people all the time for violating the social contract.
Oh my God.
What happens if the social contract, you know?
I mean, what the fuck? You're playing God. What is a murderer doing? He's playing God. What are you doing when you're creating a life? You're playing fucking God.
So you're no better than them then. You're no better than
I
an
had
alien.
part of my cervix removed.
No, you think it's the same exact thing. What I'm saying is that there's a contract that we don't kill each other. That's the social contract. I'm saying that shouldn't be violated. I'm also saying it shouldn't be violated that you don't have a right to create living things and play with them for your own entertainment.
I hate to jump in here and interrupt the second round of the Republican debates, but what is
Come on, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. Calm down.
what is the
Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself.
You have to
Fuck
let him
yourself. Fuck.
You have to let him talk, Gary. Fine.
it's okay. He doesn't have to.
That's the most horrible thing I've ever heard Gary say by a mile. And there's,
What was the original premise or question, if you don't mind me asking?
well, I was pointing out that, and actually, in a sense of adding weight to the antinatalism argument, it was occurring to me that, they talk about basically the parent doesn't have the right to play God and bring a non-existence into existence. They're taking an unacceptable risk. And really, it's decisions like, do I get circumcised? Am I, Christian Scientist, I don't go to the doctor. Am I, all of these decisions and all the millions, subtle ones for 18 years or whatever, or a lifetime possibly. Well, no, let's just stick with childhood. Let's just say the first 10 years.